Hi everyone. Here I am for the second half of the Blind Guardian experience with the Bard's Song. So many of you commented when I announced this that yet another metal song is coming. But really, is this metal? It reminds me of when I listened to Love of My Life and wondered, is this really rock music? Anyway, this is an interesting piece because it gives off a real storytelling vibe, while at the same time remaining nicely singable. I watched a live performance of it, and its accessibility for the voice is clearly evident in the way the crowd sings the song along with the band. If you've seen my first listen video, you remember how I was commenting on the Celtic and Gaelic bardic traditions and mentioned links with the harp. Even the word bard is directly loaned from the Celtic languages. And in ancient times, in these cultures, even going back to the pre-Christian era, bards played a critical role in preserving and shaping the society's identity. A bard was a professional storyteller, verse maker, music composer, oral historian, and a genealogist. Now, just as was typical for musicians and artists and entertainers for centuries, bards were employed by a patron of the ruling class. So, naturally, their duties included things like preserving and passing on, or in other words, immortalizing, the histories of the important families, including everything from genealogies to heroic deeds and battle victories. But they were not entirely bound to only provide fawning admiration. It's been said that if a bard's patron did not pay him properly, then he would switch to composing and performing satires of his employer. So the idea of a bardic storyteller or composer of songs is not only the stuff of fictional stories, they actually existed and were important figures in their time. And one of the things I love is that bards, harps, poetry, and music are all traditionally linked together in Celtic history. The Welsh especially have put great effort into preserving the music-making and storytelling traditions of the past. And even today, the Eisteddfod is a huge event in Wales, and the harp is even the Welsh national instrument. So of course, as a harpist, the subject matter of this song, as well as the way the music is handled, intrigues me, and I want to explain a bit about how this band achieves its musical effect. And a lot of it has to do with rhythm. This song frequently changes the groupings and stacking of beats. Sometimes it's a legitimate time signature change, while other times it's more of a hemiola effect. And what do I mean by that? If you're not a musician, it's a weird phrase and might sound impossible to comprehend. Time signature? Yikes. Hemiola? What's that? But it's really very simple. And if you enjoy feeling the pulse and flow of music, then you already totally get it, even if you don't know what it is. So here's how it works. Music has a beat. You know how it is when your foot wants to tap along with a tune. And let's just say we're tapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the tune is going along and you're really getting into it. But beats don't like to be all the same. They like to arrange themselves into groups or sets. And music being what it is, these groups quickly settle into consistent patterns. So instead of counting our way on up to 100 and beyond, we end up with something more like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And when they do that, the first beat in each set suddenly becomes the most forceful, while the others adjust their strength to balance things out. So we start hearing and feeling this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And as soon as we have a pattern, we can identify each of its elements and stick a label on it. Because this particular pattern consists of repeating groups of threes, we would say it's in 3 time. Some of us hate labels because it feels limiting, but in this case, it's actually liberating because now we have a way of efficiently communicating and summarizing what is going on in the music. And that labeling of beat patterns is what we call time signatures. Just like your signature is kind of a label for you, it's unique to you and represents you. So a time signature is unique to a certain rhythmic feel and represents that specific beat pattern effect. We can have time signatures that group in 2s, 3s, 4s, and so on. And I want to demonstrate in a simple chord pattern on the harp what these feel like so that you can begin to hear how they show up in a musical context. This one is going to be 2, and I'm going to use simply 2 chords changing back and forth to keep it real simple. So let's say I'm going like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can feel how it goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I can even do it without counting and you'll feel it. Now, of course, music can be more complicated than that, but underneath the music, that pattern can exist. Or it could be 3, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or it can be in 4, and it might sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, each pattern has its own feel, and composers can use a single pattern or switch between different patterns, even layering multiple patterns on top of each other, depending on how they want us to feel in the musical experience. One simple device that has long been used to switch things up a bit is called hemiola. You see, our main patterns are kind of short, groups of 2s, 3s, going up to 4s. As soon as we start going into longer patterns, then each pattern of beats wants to form subgroups within the larger pattern. For example, a pattern of 6. If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you see how it suddenly wants to settle into 2 subgroups of 3 beats in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But 6 is not only divisible by 2, but also by 3. So I can mess with it, and now it's the same number of beats, but a different pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me show you on the harp. This is going to be divisible by 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I can do exactly the same thing and put the emphasis in a different place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that context, it's a very small difference, but it's a difference. Now, if I start adding chords on the emphatic beats, you'll hear it more strongly. Let's say I'm going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I can go like this. So now it's divisible by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can even layer those two different divisions or subdivisions on top of each other, or switch back and forth between them. Let's switch back and forth between them because then it's a little easier to hear. So we're going to start with divisible by 2. Then I will switch to divisible by 3, and I will return to divisible by 2. So here's how we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you felt how it shifted, almost like our gait had changed. Something had gone different, even though the underlying large grouping of 6 never disappeared. And that switching of patterns, or stacking of patterns, 2s and 3s on top of each other within a group of 6, is what we call a hemiola. And we can expand the meaning to kind of cover other stackings and switchings somewhat as well. By the way, if you want to learn more about music theory and composition techniques, even if you're a total beginner, join my membership community on Ko-fi, where I am presenting a music theory course designed to take absolute beginners all the way to the point where they can write and arrange their own music, understand all music better, and even unlock some of the classical music world. But now let's go back to the Bard's song and see why all of this pattern stuff is worth noticing here. There are some portions of the piece that really ride along on a single beat pattern. They get rolling. Here's an example from the chorus, and it's in a group of 3. You'll hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 as I'm playing it, and I won't count out loud. I want you to just follow along and see if you can feel it, because I'm certain you can. The same pattern happens in the instrumental intro, which is again 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and if you listen to the song, you'll hear it there. But the instant the voice enters on the first verse, all this rhythmic flow and motion suddenly feels weirdly different. What happened? The beat pattern changed, and it now doesn't let us settle into a new pattern to find a new groove. Instead, it keeps changing. And this gives us the effect of a storytelling, because that's the way we naturally speak. I'm not speaking right now in metrical verse. This is what we call prose. It's words, non-metric, non-rhymed, non-consistently, repetitively rhythmic. And so in this song, it conjures up the image of a master storyteller taking us on a journey into the past, perhaps strumming his harp from time to time to add drama and emphasis. But he's not singing right now. He's speaking, telling a story. And then, when we get to a place where the consistent time signature returns, we feel that the bard has now broken into song. He's singing now, something related to the story. And it's a part of the story that we know because we can remember verse and rhyme and rhythm much more accurately than we remember a speech word for word. So we join him, singing along in chorus, and the communal sense of identity, which we all feel, grows within us in this moment, in this experience. And when the song ends, we fall silent to listen to the next chapter of his story. We belong, and his story becomes our story. And when it's all over, we carry it home in our memories, and we sing the songs as we go about our lives, and we know who we are and why, and where our fealty lies. And that is the bard's song. That is why, as the song says, the bard's song will remain, even long after the bard himself is gone. So do I like it? Will it make my playlist? I do like it. I do enjoy it. It's not the kind of music that really feels like something I would gravitate towards a lot, because it is very simplistic in many ways, but at the same time, it's enjoyable. It has that nice vibe to it. And so, I don't know if I'd actually put it on a playlist, but I guess probably from time to time, I might go look it up and just, remind myself of how it is. Notice some things maybe while I'm driving, maybe use it in telling stories to some young students or something like that. In closing, I want to remind you of the poll going on in the community tab. Still a few days to go until it closes, but by now it seems kind of clear that we're going to celebrate Freddie Mercury next month here at Virgin Rock. But still, if you didn't yet, go there and vote for your favorite band and drop a comment with your song of choice. Also, if you want to receive notifications when I post new content, click the little bell next to the subscribe button. If you didn't yet watch my first listen of this The Bard's Song, click this link. It will take you there. And I'll see you soon.